Today we will see gas turbine cycles with intercooling, reheating and regeneration. So in the previous lecture we have discussed the efficiency of the ideal Brayton cycle. So now we will see how to improve the efficiency of the Brayton cycle. So we can see the efficiency is the function of the W net and Q in or Q supply, or what we are supplying as a heat. So we will see the W net is a function of Wt minus Wc, means what we are getting from the turbine and what we are giving to the compressor and what we are supplying to the heat exchanger. So if you need to improve the efficiency, then you have to increase this, means you have to increase the turbine work output, you have to decrease the compressor work, and you have to decrease the heat supply. So you by decreasing these two and by increasing this one, you can increase the efficiency of the Brayton cycle. So for increasing the Brayton cycle, we will see how to increase the work output, how to decrease the work input, and how to decrease the heat supply. So if we will see the TS diagram, so you can find here, this is the TS diagram with multi-staging compression with intercooling, and this is multi-staging expansion with reheating. So if you will see the multi-staging compression here, then you will find that if you are compressing the air from P1 to P2, P1 is the atmospheric pressure and P2 is your required pressure. So if you are increasing the pressure by compressing point 1 to point 2 by polytropic process, so the work required will be from 1 to 2 days, means this area will be your required work done. But if you are compressing the air in the multiple stage, here we are taking two stage 1 and stage 2, and the process is this one, 1 to 2, and then we are intercooling, and then we are increasing the pressure, means we are again compressing the air. So your required area will be, your required work done will be 1 to 2, 3, 4, means this one. So you will save this area, means you will save this work done on the compressor, means 2, 3, 4, 2 days. You will save this one by a multi-staging compression with intercooling. And if you want to increase the work output Wt, then you will use reheating, means if you are expanding the gas in a single stage, means from 0.6 to this, like this is the isentropic expansion. So the diagram will be like this. But if you will expand in the multi-stage, here we are taking the two-stage expansion. So if you are expanding in a stage 1, that is from 6 to 7, and then you are again reheating to 7 to 8, and then you are expanding from 0.8 to 0.9. So you will get this area, means this area which will be the increase in the work done. So the turbine work will increase by multi-staging expansion with reheating. And you can also decrease the heat supply, where you are supplying the heat after the compression. You are increasing temperature at constant pressure. The process 4 to 6 is constant pressure heat addition, means what you are supplying the heat here. So if you will use regeneration means to use this heat, means here after the expansion from the second stage, the air is going to compressor again by cooling this by heat rejection, means here 0.9 to 0.3 will be heat rejection at constant pressure. So if you will utilize this heat which you are rejecting here from 0.9 to 0.3, you can, if you will utilize this heat to increase the temperature at the compressor outlet, means if you will use this heat here, then you have to supply lesser amount of heat than the previous. So you will get here the decrease in the heat supply. So if the heat supply will decrease, then your efficiency will increase. So we will see in detail one by one intercooling, reheating and regeneration. So first one we will see intercooling. So intercooling, in intercooling you will see here two compressor 1 and compressor 2, and between these two compressors there will be a heat exchanger or intercooler. Means after the compression, the pressure of the air will increase, and with the increase in the pressure there will be increase in the temperature also. So you have to reduce the temperature of the compressor outlet, because if the temperature will increase, then its volume will increase, and if its volume will increase, then the work done PdV will increase. So if you will decrease the temperature, then its volume will decrease, and if its volume will decrease, then the work done on the next stage will decrease. So here we are into decreasing, rejecting the heat, or we are intercooling the air, means between compressor 1 and compressor 2, and then we are sending this compressed air to the heat exchanger, where we are supplying the heat at constant pressure, and then turbine, and then again after the heat rejection at constant pressure, this will again come into the compressor 1. So we will see here the TS diagram of the Brayton cycle with multi-staging compression with intercooling. So here you can see process 1 to 2 is isentropic compression, then constant pressure heat rejection, means the constant pressure intercooling, and here we are cooling the air till the initial temperature, means the what was the temperature at initial stage 0.1, the temperature of the air after the intercooling will be that only. So if the temperature 1 will be equal to temperature 3 will be equal to temperature 1, then it is known as perfect intercooling, means this is the perfect intercooler. And then again we will increase the pressure till the required pressure, and then this will go for the constant pressure heat addition, and then heat rejection, for the expansion and heat rejection. And this is the PV diagram. In the PV diagram you can see process 1 to 2 is isentropic compression, then heat rejection. Here we are rejecting the heat. So with rejecting the heat, the pressure will be constant, but the temperature is reducing. So with the decrease in the temperature, its volume will decrease, and again we are compressing it till the required pressure from 3 to 4, and then heat addition and expansion, and then heat rejection at constant pressure. So since in the perfect intercooling, the temperature at 1 will be equal to the temperature at 0.3. So here we will optimize our work input to the compressor. So for optimizing the work input, you have to find this intermediate pressure, means the what should be this pressure that we can reduce the work input to till the minimum. Means since you will see here the total compression work will be WC1, means process 1 to 2 and process 3 to 4, WC1 plus WC2. So WC will be CP, WC1 will be CP into T2 minus T1 plus WC2, which is CP into T4 minus T3. So if you will take common from this T1, then you will get this, and since T3 is equal to T1, then this will be 1 and this will be this 1. So this will be minus 2 T2 by T1, and since T1 is T3, so we are putting here T3, so T4 by T3, and then you will see since process 1 to 2 is isentropic compression. So for isentropic process, T2 by T1 will be equal to the Pi by P1. Pi is the intermediate pressure and P1 is this pressure. This pressure. So Pi by P1 to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma, and we are taking this term as a x because we will use repetitively this term. So we are taking as x, and T3 by T4. This T3 by T4 will be P2 by Pi, P2 by Pi. Sorry, this will be T4 by T3. This will be T4 by T3 equal to P2 by Pi to the power gamma 1 by gamma. This will be T4 by T3. And we will put the value of T2 by T1 and T4 by T3. So T2 by T1 is equal to Pi by P1 to the power x, and this one will be T4 by T3 will be P2 by P1 to the power x. So for minimizing the compression work, we will differentiate this with respect to Pi, because this one is the fixed, P1 is fixed and P2 is fixed, which we can vary, Pi we can vary, intermediate pressure we can vary. So we will differentiate this equation with respect to the Pi. So after the differentiating, we will get x into Pi by Pi to the power x minus 1 upon Pi to the power x, P1 to the power x plus, since this is in denominator, so this will be minus x into P2 to the power x upon Pi by Pi to the power x plus 1. And after simplifying, we will find this equation, and you will get Pi to the power 2x equal to P1 to the power x into P2 to the power x. So here you can see Pi will be square root of P1 into P2. So here we have find for minimizing the work input, the optimum pressure or optimum intermediate pressure, this pressure should be square root of the initial pressure and the final pressure. So here we will calculate the work input to the compressor 1. Since compressor 1 has work input WC1 equal to Cp into T2 minus T1, or Cp into T1, we are taking it common as a T1, so this will be T2 by T1 minus 1, and since T2 by T1 is equal to Pi by P1 to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma minus 1, and we have derived Pi as a Pi is equal to square root of P1 into P2. So by putting the Pi is equal to square root of P1 into P2, you will get WC1 equal to Cp into T1 into square root of P2 by P1 to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma minus 1. So this will be the work input for compressor 1 when we are using perfect intercooling. And this is WC2. This is WC2. WC2 will be Cp into, this is the work input for compressor 2, and this is work input for compressor 1. So WC2 will be Cp into T4 minus T1. So after taking the common as a T3, you will get T4 by T3 minus 1, and T4 by T3 will be P2 by Pi to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma minus 1. So After putting the value of Pi, which you have derived as a square root of P1 and P2, then you will get WC2 equal to Cp into T3 into square root of P2 by P1 to the power gamma 1 by gamma minus 1. So you can see here WC1 equal to this and WC2 equal to this. So only the difference between these compressor 1 and compressor 2 is the, here this compressor 1 is a function of T1 and compressor 2 is the function of T3. But here we are using as a perfect intercooler. So for perfect intercooling, T1 is equal to the T3. So WC1 will be equal to the WC2. So here we are concluding that with perfect intercooling, compression with the perfect intercooling, T3 will be equal to T1 and the optimum pressure will be square root of P1, P2 and WC1 will be equal to the WC2. Means compressor work work done for compressor 1 will be equal to the work done for the compressor 2. So here we will see the effect of the intercooling. So first point is work required by the compressor decreases. We have seen the work required by the compressor is decreasing, because if you will compress from 1 to 2 dash, then the required work done will be the area this one. But if you will the multi-staging with intercooling, then the required work will be this one. So there is a decrease in the required compression work, and there is no change any change in the work output in the turbine. So the turbine work will remain unchanged, and net work will increase, because the net work is the function of Wt minus Wc. So the net work done will increase. For the same power output, mass flow rate of air required decreases. Since the net work output is increasing, so for the, if you are putting your power output as remains same, then your required mass flow rate, since power equal to mass flow rate of air into the W net, so your required mass flow rate will decrease. Required mass flow rate of air will decrease. Both heat supply and heat reject increases. Since you are using the intercooling, so with intercooling you are getting the final point 4. But if you are compress the air from P1 to P2 by this process in single stage, then your final point will be 2 dash. So if you are using the intercooling, then you have to supply the heat from point 4 to point 6, this one. And if you are not using the intercooling, then you have to supply the heat from 2 dash to 6. So here you can see the heat supply is increasing with intercooling, and also the heat rejection is increasing, because you have to reject the heat from 6 to 2 and from 2 to 3. So both heat supply is increasing and heat rejection is decreasing. Both mean temperature of heat addition and mean temperature of heat rejection decreases, because if you will see here, if you will supply the heat from the point 2 dash to point 5, then your mean temperature will be around here. But if you will supply the heat from 4 to 5, your mean temperature will be around here. So you are getting here the mean temperature of heat addition is decreasing, and here you can also see the mean temperature of heat rejection will also decrease, because here you are getting the mean temperature of point 1 to 6 is this, and 2 to 3 is this. So initially if you will not use the intercooling, then you have to supply you have to reject heat only from 6 to 2, 6 to 1, so the mean temperature will be here only. But with the intercooling you have to also reject the heat from 0.2 to 3, so there will be the two heat rejection, so the final mean temperature will be near this point. So with intercooling, both mean temperature of heat addition and mean temperature of heat rejection decreases. Cycle efficiency may increase or decrease, but it generally decrease because the compressor work is decreasing, so net work output is increasing. But with intercooling, the heat supply is increasing, means the what you are supplying is increasing, so the efficiency may increase or may decrease. Since both are increasing, WT is net work done is also increasing and heat supply is also increasing, so which one will increase more we don't know, so it will depend on the given conditions. So it may increase or may decrease, but it generally decreases the efficiency with intercooling, but the net work output will always increases. Scope of regeneration increases because compressor outlet temperature decreases. We will see this point later on after the intercooling and reheating. In the reheating, we are expanding the compressed and high temperature air in more than one stages, means the expansion will take place in more than one stages. So in the here we are taking the two stage, means here we are taking two turbine, two stage, and if there will be two stage, then there will be two turbine. So the expansion in turbine will be till any intermediate pressure between the pressure P2 and P1, and then we will pressure P2 and P1 means which may be Pi, and then after the expansion we will again reheat at certain point. It may be equal to the previous point or maybe less or maybe greater, and then we will expand this in the another turbine till the P1, and then constant pressure heat rejection, and then compression, and then heat addition. So here we will see, if we will expand the air in a single stage, then the process will be from 3 to 4 dash. So your work output will be 3, 4 dash, 1, 2 and 3. But if you will expand these gases in more than one stage with reheating, then you will find this area is getting extra area. This is extra area, so you will get this extra amount of the work done from the turbine. So with multi-staging expansion and with reheating, the net work output from the turbine will increase. So this is the TS diagram and this is the PV diagram. 1 to 2 is compression, then heat addition, and then expansion in the turbine 1, then heat addition or reheating at constant pressure, and then expansion in the second turbine, and then heat rejection with constant pressure, and then again compression. So we will optimize the work output from turbine. So for optimizing we will increase the work output from the turbine. So for getting the maximum work output, we have to find the optimum pressure ratio. Means what should be this pressure Pi? Means what should be the exit pressure from the turbine 1, so that we can get maximum work output. So we can see the total work output from turbine will be work done from the turbine 1 and work done from the turbine 2. So the Wt will be function of Cp into T3 minus T4 plus Cp into T5 minus T6. So if you will take T3 common from this, then you will find T1 minus T4 by T3 plus T5 by T3 minus T6 by T3. So if you will use here perfect rating, since we are taking this term with perfect rating, so meaning of the perfect rating is that we are reheating this gas till the previous one temperature, means the T3, means the inlet temperature at the turbine 1 will be equal to the inlet temperature at turbine 2. So with perfect intercooling, with perfect rating, the T5 will be equal to the T3. So by putting this T5 equal to T3, this will be equal to 1. So 1 plus 1 will be equal to 2. 2 minus T4 by T3 and T6 by T3. T3 is replacing by T5, so T6 by T5. Since T3 by T4, T3 to T4 is the isentropic process. So for isentropic process, we will use this term T4 by T3 equal to Pi by P2 to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma. And we are taking gamma by gamma as x, and T6 by T5, T6 by T5 equal to P1 by Pi to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma, or P1 by Pi to the power x. Hence, putting these value T4 by T3 and T6 by T5 in the equation this, so you will get, here we are taking the common as a T3 only, because T3 depends on the metallurgical condition of the your metallurgical condition of the your equipments. So T3 is fixed, so we are taking the T3 as a common, but you can change this temperature T4. So after putting this, you will get T2 minus Pi by P2 to the power x minus P1 by P1 by Pi to the power x. So this is the equation for the turbine work in the terms of the temperature T3 and the pressures. So for maximizing the net work output, you have to optimize the intermediate pressure, because P1 and P2 are fixed. P1 and P2 are fixed because this is the available pressure or atmospheric pressure, and this is the your required pressure, that is P2. So these two pressure are fixed and T3 is also fixed. So only you can change the Pi. So you will differentiate this equation with respect to the Pi, and you will find optimum Pi for the maximum work output. So for maximum work output, you will differentiate this equation with respect to the intermediate pressure. So you will find that this is the constant will be 0, and P2 is also the constant, only Pi is the variable. So this will be x into Pi to the power x minus 1 upon P2 to the power x minus, here Pi is in the denominator, so the minus x into P1 to the power x upon Pi to the power x plus 1 equal to 0, and after simplifying you will get this equation, and then Pi, this is Pi to the power x minus 1 and this is Pi to the power x plus 1. So this will be the Pi to the power 2x equal to P1 to the power x into P2 to the power x. So Pi will be equal to the square root of P1 into P2. So for the maximum work output from turbine, the intermediate pressure should be square root of the initial pressure and the final pressure. So here we will calculate the work output from the turbine 1. So work output from turbine 1 will be the Cp into T3 minus T4, and from the turbine 2 will be the Cp into T5 minus T6. So here we will calculate one by one. Wt1 will be equal to the Cp into T3 minus T4. So we will take common as a T3, then we will get Cp into T3 into 1 minus T4 by T3, and you will replace this because you know the optimum pressure. So if you have to convert this temperature in the terms of the pressure, so you will put this optimum pressure in this and you will get optimum or maximum work output. So T4 by T3 will be equal to the Pi by P2 to the power gamma 1 by gamma, and Pi is square root of P1 and P2, so this will be equal to the Cp into T3 into 1 minus P1 by square root of P1 by P2 to the power to the whole power gamma minus 1 by gamma, and the work output from the turbine 2 will be Cp into T5 minus T6, and you will take the common Cp into T5, and this will be 1 minus T6 by T5, and T6 by T5 will be equal to the P1 by Pi to the power gamma minus by gamma, and after putting the value of Pi, you will get WT2 or work done from a turbine 2 will be equal to the Cp into T5 into 1 minus square root of the P1 by P2 to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma, and since this is perfect rating, so T3 equal to the T5, here you can get for the perfect rating T3 equal to the T5. So if you will put in this equation T5 as a T3, then you will get T1 is equal to the T2 because this term is same as this term. So here we are concluding that for the perfect reheating, the optimum intermediate pressure is square root of the final and initial pressure, and we are also getting the for perfect reheating the turbine work output from turbine 1 is equal to the turbine 2. So for perfect rating, T5 is equal to T3, Pi is equal to square root of P1 into Pi, and WT1 equal to the WT2. Now we will see the effect of reheating. Since in reheating, you will see here the compression, there is no any change in the compression. So the compressor work will be remains unchanged, and since we are getting this extra area, so the turbine work output will increase. So if the turbine work output will increase and compressor work is remains unchanged, so the net work output net equal to Wt minus Wc will increase. Since Wt is increasing, so net work output will increase. Specific mass flow rate of air decreases because the work output is increasing. So for the specific power or specific work output, the mass flow rate of the air will decrease. Both heat supply and heat rejection will increase. Here you can see you are supplying the heat from 0.2 to 0.3 and 0.4 to 0.5, and previously without the reheating you have to supply the heat from only from 2 to 3, but if you are using the reheating, then you have to also supply the heat from the 4 to 5. So this extra amount of the heat supply is increasing, so the net change in the heat supply will increase. So the heat supply increases, and you have to also reject the more heat because the previous process will be 3 to 4 days without reheating. So you have to reject only from 4 days to 1. But if you are using the reheating, then you have to reject the heat from 0.6 to 1. So you have to reject more amount of the heat. So the heat rejection will also increase. Both mean temperature of heat addition and mean temperature of heat rejection increases. You can see if the heat supply is increasing, so For the process 2 to 3, the mean temperature of heat addition will be near here, and for 4 to 5 will be here. So you can get the mean temperature of heat addition in the second stage is more than the previous one. So mean of these two will be around here. So the mean temperature of heat addition will finally increases, and mean temperature of heat rejection will also increase, because previously for 4-1 the mean temperature of heat rejection will be here, and for this one will be here. So if you will take the mean of these two, or the final mean temperature of heat rejection will be around here. So mean temperature of heat rejection is increasing from this point to this point. So you can see the mean temperature of heat rejection is also increasing. Cycle efficiency may increase or decrease. Sorry, this is or. So cycle efficiency may increase or decrease, but generally it decreases, since work output is increasing and heat supply is also increasing. Both are decreasing. Both are increasing. So you cannot say the supply. Yes, you cannot say the efficiency is increasing or decreasing. It will depend on the numerical value of the W net and Q supply or heat supply. But generally the efficiency decreases, but the net work output will always increase. Scope of regeneration increases because turbine exit temperature increases. We will see the regeneration after this, but you can see the turbine exit temperature is increasing, because previously if you are expanding the gas in this single stage, then the temperature at the turbine outlet will be T4 but after the reheating or multi-staging, you will get the turbine outlet temperature as a T6. So the turbine outlet temperature is increasing with the reheating. So if the turbine exit temperature is more, then you can use this heat for here to increase the temperature of the compressor outlet. We will see later on. Regeneration is a process in which heat is exchanged internally between hot gases coming out from the turbine to the cold air coming out from the compressor. Here, in the regeneration, the outlet temperature of the gas turbine is more than the outlet temperature of the compressor. So after the compression, you are supplying the heat to increase the temperature from 0.2 to 0.3, and here you are rejecting the heat from the 0.4 to 0.1. So if you will utilize this rejected heat to increase the temperature of this compressed air, then you have to supply less amount of heat for increasing the temperature from 0.2 to 0.3. If you are using this amount of heat, means from 0.4 to 0.6, this amount of heat you are utilizing as a heat supply to the compressed air from 0.2 to 0.5. Then you have to supply the heat from 0.5 to 0.3. So you have to supply now less amount of the heat. So your efficiency will increase, since efficiency is the function of W net upon the heat supply. So here you will find with regeneration the decrease in the heat supply. So in the regeneration, this rejection heat is utilizing for increasing temperature of this compressed air. So we will see the effectiveness or degree of regeneration. Effectiveness. Since the regeneration is done in the heat exchanger, this is a heat exchanger. Heat exchanger is used to exchange the heat from one medium to the another medium. Means from this medium, means the exhaust gas, to the this compressed gas. So here we will find the effectiveness or efficiency of the heat exchanger. So effectiveness of the regenerator or a heat exchanger will be equal to the actual temperature rise upon maximum possible temperature rise. You are getting here by supplying this amount of the heat, the temperature of the compressed air is increasing from 0.2 to 0.5, but you can see the maximum possible rise in the temperature will be 0.5 dash, because the exit temperature is T4, so you cannot increase the temperature of the compressed air from this temperature. So the maximum possible temperature, maximum possible temperature rise is T5 dash or T4. So the effectiveness of the regenerator is function of the actual temperature rise, means what actually you are getting and what ideally you can get. So effectiveness will be actual is T5 minus T2 upon this one, T5 upon T5 minus T2. T5 dash is equal to the T4. So the maximum possible temperature rise is T4 minus T2. Since in reality this is not possible, because for transferring the heat, you have to some temperature difference. Means heat transfer is a function of Q equal to HA into delta T. Delta T is the temperature difference. Means if the temperature difference will be 0, then you will get the heat transfer area will be infinite. Means if there will be no temperature difference, means here you are having two fluid, means this is the exit gas and this is the inlet gas. So there should be some temperature difference. But if there will be no temperature difference, when there will not temperature difference, when this will be the ideal regenerator, means you have to supply the heat from 2 to 5 dash and the exit temperature is the 4. So if you will supply the heat at a zero temperature difference, so the heat transfer area will be infinite. So your heat exchanger size will be the infinite. So if you are having the lesser amount of the temperature difference, then you will have greater heat transfer area or bigger heat exchanger. So in reality we keep it at optimum, means there should be around 5 to 10 degrees Celsius or 20 degrees Celsius temperature difference to transfer the heat from this to this. So for ideal regenerative cycle, T5 equal to this T5 will be equal to the T4 and T6 will be equal to the T2, means the final rejection temperature will be equal to this one, T2. So effectiveness will be equal to the T4 minus T2 upon T4 minus T1 equal to 1. So for ideal regenerator, the effectiveness will be equal to the 100%. Efficiency of the ideal regenerator cycle. If you are using the ideal regenerator, then what will be your Brayton cycle efficiency. So we will calculate here the efficiency of the Brayton cycle with ideal regenerator. Since efficiency is the function of Wt minus Wc upon Qs, and Wt minus Wc is equal to the Qs minus Qr. So which we have derived in the previous lecture. Qs minus Qr is equal to the Wt minus Wc. So here we have replaced Wt minus Wc with Qs minus Qr. So this will be 1 minus Qr by Qs. Qr is the rejected heat and this is the supplied heat. So Qr, what we are supplying here? From here, if you are using the regenerator, then you have to supply the heat, you have to reject the heat from 6 to 1, because from 4 to 6 you are utilizing this heat for increasing the temperature here. So you have to supply the heat from 0.5 to 0.3 and you have to reject the heat from 6 to 1. So your heat supply will be T3 minus T5 and heat rejection will be T6 minus T1. So efficiency will be 1 minus T2 minus T1, since for ideal regenerator T6 will be T2 and T5 will be T4. So efficiency will be 1 minus T2 minus T1 upon T3 minus T4. And here we are taking common T2 from the numerator. So this will be 1 minus T1 by T2 and T3 into 1 minus T4 by T3. So this will be 1 minus T2 by T1 into 1 minus T1 by T2 upon 1 minus T4 by T1. And we have derived this equation in the previous lecture. For the ideal Brayton cycle, T1 into T3 is equal to T2 into T4. So after the rearrangement, T1 by T2 is equal to the T4 by T3. So these terms, this term and this one will be equal, since T1 by T2 equal to the T4 by T3. So this one and this one will get cancelled out. So you will get efficiency equal to 1 minus T2 by T3. 1 minus T2 by T3. So here we are multiplying and divided by T1 by T1. So after rearrangement we will get 1 minus T1 by T3 into T2 by T1. We are rearranging here 1 minus T1 by T3 into T2 by T1, and since T2 by T1 is equal to the P2 by P1 and P2 by P1 will be equal to the pressure ratio RP, P2 by P1 to the power gamma 1 by gamma. So finally you will get efficiency of the Brayton cycle with ideal regenerator will be equal to the 1 minus T1 by T3 into RP to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma. So here you can see your efficiency of the ideal Brayton cycle with ideal regenerator is decreasing with increase in the pressure ratio. So this is the from this curve you can see this curve is for the ideal Brayton cycle without regeneration. Without regeneration, the efficiency of the Brayton cycle is increasing with respect to the increase in the pressure ratios. But with the regeneration, you can see here if the RP value will increase, pressure ratio value will increase, then this is the negative term. This is the negative term. So this whole value will increase. So the efficiency will decrease. So here you can see the efficiency of the Brayton cycle with regenerator, with ideal regenerator is decreasing with pressure ratio. This is the pressure ratio and this is the efficiency. So as the pressure ratio is increasing, the efficiency of the ideal Brayton cycle with ideal regenerator is decreasing. And this is for the different T1 by T3 value. So if the T1 by T3 value will increase, then its efficiency is also decreasing. Here you can see the T1 by T3 equal to 0.2, 0.25 and 0.33. So T1 by T3 is increasing and efficiency is decreasing. So with increase in the T1 by T3 and with increase in the pressure ratio, your efficiency is decreasing. Effect of the regeneration. No change in compressor and turbine work. There is no any change in the compression work and turbine work. And net work output remains same because compressor work and turbine work is remain same. So the net work output will remain same. Both heat supply and heat rejection decreases because you have to supply the heat from 0.5 to 0.3 and you have to reject the heat from 0.6 to 0.1. So there will be the decrease in the heat supply and there will be decrease in the heat rejection. So both the heat supply and heat rejection decreases. So mean temperature of the heat addition increases because you have to supply the heat temperature. Because you have to supply the heat from 0.5 to 0.1. So for 0.5 to 0.1, the mean temperature will be around here. And if you will not use the regenerator, then you have to supply the heat from 0.2 to 0.3 and for 0.2 to 3 the heat supply, the mean temperature of the heat supply will be around here. So this is the with regeneration and this is the without regeneration. So the mean temperature heat supply or mean temperature of the heat addition with regeneration is increasing. And here you can also see for the heat rejection. So for the heat rejection, if you are using the rejection, if you are using the regeneration, then you have to reject the heat from 0.6 to 0.1. Then this will be the mean temperature of the heat rejection. And if you are not using the heat rejection, if you are not using the regeneration, then you have to reject the heat from 0.4 to 0.1. And for this process, the mean temperature will be around here. So you can see the mean temperature of heat rejection with the regenerator is decreasing. Cycle efficiency increases. Since there is no any change in the net work output and efficiency is the function of the net work output upon the heat supply, and you are getting here that the heat supply is decreasing. So if the heat supply will decrease with no change in the net work output, then the efficiency of the Brayton cycle will increase. Here we can see if you are using the reheating, then the scope of the regeneration is increasing. Why? If you will increase the reheating, then you will get more higher temperature at turbine exit. So if there will be higher temperature at the turbine exit, then you will get more heat at the rejection process. So you can use that amount of the heat to the to increasing the temperature at the compressor outlet. And also if you are using the intercooling with a multi-staging compressor, then your temperature will decrease at the compressor outlet. With intercooling, the final temperature at the compressor outlet will decrease. So you can extract more heat from this. Means if this temperature will be less, then you can utilize more heat from here. So the scope of regenerator is increases with intercooling and also with the reheating. So now we will see a problem Problem 1 is an ideal Brayton cycle incorporates an ideal regenerator. The state at the entry to the compressor is 290 Kelvin and 90 kilopascal, while the highest cycle pressure and temperature are 1170 kilopascal and 1700 Kelvin respectively. If air can assumed as an ideal gas with Cp equal to 1.004 kilojoule per kg Kelvin and K equal to 1.4, then the efficiency of this cycle is, this is the ideal regenerator. So this is the T1 and this is the P1, and this is the highest cycle pressure and temperature. Highest cycle temperature, this is highest cycle temperature T3, and P2 equal to the 1170 kilopascal and T3 equal to the 1700 Kelvin, and T1 equal to 290 and P1 equal to the 90 kilopascal. So first we will write the given data. So given data will be Tmax equal to T3 equal to this, and P1 P2 this, and we have derived recently this equation, efficiency of the ideal regenerative cycle. So here we have to calculate the efficiency of the Brayton cycle with ideal regenerator. So we have T1, we have T3, we have this pressure ratio, we have this gamma value as a K. So after putting this value, you will get efficiency of the ideal Brayton cycle with ideal regenerator 0.645 or 64.5%. Now we will see the actual gas turbine cycle. Till now we have studied only the ideal Brayton cycle. Now we will see the actual gas turbine cycle or actual Brayton cycle. So you will see some pressure drop occurs during the heat addition and heat rejection. So if there will be the, you can see here there is this some pressure drop. Since you are supplying the heat from the heat exchanger, then there will be some decrease in the pressure during the addition of the heat, and also there will be the decrease in the pressure during the rejection of the heat. Because the heat exchanger is a big component, then there will be a few loss of the working fluid, so there will be the pressure drop. So this losses can be, and there will be the pressure drop, and also there will be some frictions in the compression and in the turbine. So if there will be some friction, then this process will be internally irreversible. So if this will be internally irreversible process, then the process will be not isentropic. So if the process will be not isentropic, then process will be this one. So this will be diverted from this one to this one, and also the expansion will be not isentropic. This will be the non-isentropic, or from 3 to 4A. So due to the internally irreversible process or this irreversible process, the work input in the compression will increase, and due to this irreversible expansion process, the net work output from the turbine will decrease. So the actual work input to the compressor is more, and actual work output from the turbine is less. You can see here, initially you have to compress from point 1 to point 2S, which is here, but due to the irreversible process, you have to compress from point 1 to 2A, which is at higher than this one. So you have to do more work. And here you can see during the expansion, if the process is isentropic, then the final point will be the 4S. But due to the irreversibility, the final point will reaches at 4A, which is higher than the 4S. So the net work from a turbine will be the difference of these 2 points. So if the final point will increase, means T3 minus T4. So since Wt is in the T3 minus T4, if the T4 will increase, then Wt will decrease. So the work out from the turbine is decreases, and work input to the compressor is increases in the actual Brayton cycle or actual gas turbine cycle. So if you want to calculate these deviations, means the increase in the compression work and decrease in the turbine work, then you can calculate this deviations in the work input and work output from the isentropic efficiency of the compressor and isentropic efficiency of the turbine, which we have studied in the previous lecture. So the efficiency of the isentropic efficiency of the compressor will be the actual work done. This is the actual work done, and this is the isentropic work done. Isentropic work done will be the H2S minus H1 upon H2A minus H1, and isentropic efficiency of the turbine will be the actual work output upon the isentropic work output. So H3 minus H4A upon H3 minus H4S. With the help of this equation, you can calculate the reduction in the work output and increase in the work input. Now we will see a Brayton cycle with the combined of these three, or the Brayton cycle with intercooling, reheating and regeneration. Here we will use all the three simultaneously. So you will get more work output, or you will improve your efficiency of the Brayton cycle. So here from point 1 you are taking the air from the atmosphere, and this is going to compress in the compressor 1 from P1 to any intermediate pressure Pi, and then it is going for the intercooling, and after the intercooling it is again going to the second stage compressor, and after the second stage compressor it is going to the regenerator. This is the regenerator. In the regenerator, the heat is exchanged between the exit temperature from the turbine and the exit temperature from the compressor, and here you will get some temperature, some heat, and after this initial preheating you will the air will enter in the combustion chamber, where it will heat it till the required temperature, that is the maximum cycle temperature, and then this will enter into the high pressure turbine or the turbine 1. Turbine 1 will be the high pressure turbine, because the fluid or air which is entering the turbine is at the maximum pressure or P2, and then it will expand in the turbine 1 till the some maximum intermediate pressure, that is Pi, and then it will go for the reheating, and then again it will expand till the initial pressure P1 in the second stage, that is turbine 2, and after the expansion this will go in the regenerator, where it will reject its heat to the compressed air. So here we will see the TS diagram. So process 1 to 2 is the isentropic compression in stage 1, then heat rejection or intercooling, perfect intercooling, because the temperature is decreasing till the initial temperature T1. So this is the perfect intercooling. Process 2 to 3 is the intercooling at constant pressure, and again we will compress this till the required pressure, that is P2 isentropically, and 3 to 4, and this is the Q regeneration, means this is the heat supply from this, or the heat supply from the regenerator, and then 5 to 6, this is the 5 to 6, the heat supply from the combustion chamber, and 6 to 7 is the isentropic expansion in the turbine 1, and 7 to 8 is the constant pressure heat addition in the reheater, and then 8 to 9 is the isentropic expansion in the second stage turbine, that is turbine 2, and then 9 to 10 is the heat rejection in the regenerator, and 921 is the heat rejection to the atmosphere, and then again we have resumed to the initial position. So for minimizing the work input to the compressor, here we are using the multi-staging compression with intercooling, and here we are using the multi-staging expansion with reheating and heat rejection with regeneration. So for minimum work input to the compressor, this condition should be, means P2 and P3 are the same, P2 and P3 are the same, and P1 if the P2 and P3 will be same, then this will be the P2 square equal to this P2 into P1, means that we have derived earlier, that is Pi equal to square root of the final and initial pressure. And for maximizing work output, the condition should be P6 by P7 equal to P8 by P9. That is the intermediate pressure for the expansion will be equal to the square root of the final and initial pressure. Hence the efficiency you will see the net work output. The net work output means the WT minus WC. So you are getting the improvement in the work output, and you are getting the decrease in the compression work. So this is increasing and this one is decreasing. So net work will increase and heat supply is decreasing, because you have to supply the heat from 0.5 to 6. So there is the decrease, this amount of the decrease in the heat supply. So Q in is also decreasing and this one is the increasing. So this whole term will increase. So the efficiency of the Brayton cycle will increase with intercooling, reheating and regeneration. So WT will be the WT1 plus WT2 and WC will be the WC1 plus WC2. So and Q supply will be the Q in minus Q in 1 means the what you are supplying here and what you are supplying here, Q in 1 plus Q in 2. So the final efficiency will be here, this one. So if you are getting any problem with the intercooling, reheating and regeneration, then what you have to do, you have to calculate the temperature at each and every point. Once you will get all the temperature, then you will calculate everything, every work input, every work output, every heat supply, efficiency, everything you can calculate easily. So first of all, you have to draw the TS diagram and you have to find out all the temperature points, because the all work done and work output are the function of the enthalpy, and enthalpy is the function of the temperature only, because here you are using the ideal gas. Here is an ideal gas, or any fluid which you are using in the Brayton cycle is an ideal gas. So for ideal gas, the enthalpy is the function of only the temperature. So you can calculate easily the enthalpy with the help of the temperature. So for every problem you have to calculate the temperature of the every point, and after calculating the temperature of the every point, you can calculate anything which you are asking to solve in the problem. And also you have seen the W net is the W net or WT minus WC is equal to the W in minus Q in minus Q out. So the efficiency will be this, means Q in will be Q in 0.5 minus 0.4 means T5 minus this one. This is the regeneration heat. You are supplying the heat here, T6 minus T5 and T8 minus T7. So this will be the heat supply minus H10 minus H1 minus H2 minus H3 upon the heat supply, this term. So you can calculate the efficiency with this one and this one also. So we will see next problem. A regenerator cycle with intercooling and reheating has compressor inlet condition 1 bar and 300 Kelvin. Air leaving the first stage of the compressor is cooled up to 290 Kelvin and 4 bar pressure in an intercooler and then further compressed to 8 bar. Compressed air leaving second stage compressor is passed through the regenerator having effectiveness of 0.8. After the combustion chamber at the inlet of the turbine temperature is 1300 Kelvin and it is expanded to 4 bar pressure where it is further heated up to the 300 Kelvin before entering to the second stage turbine and then expanded to up to 1 bar. Exhaust from the turbine is passed through regenerator. Assume air as the working fluid throughout and take compression and expansion process isentropic. Then determine turbine work output and overall efficiency of the turbine, cycle. So first of all, we have to draw the TS diagram of this given problem. So here the compression and expansion is isentropic process. So the compression and expansion is the isentropic process and compression is multi-staging, that is in the 2 stage, and expansion also is the multi-stage, that is the expansion in the 2 stage, and you are also using the regenerator and here the effectiveness of the regenerator is given. So you have to first note down all the data which are given, that is P1, T1, T3, PI, P2, effectiveness of the heat exchanger, that is 0.8, T6, that is equal to T8 means this is the perfect reheating. The perfect reheating means T8 is equal to the T6. So first of all, you have to calculate the temperature at the all unknown points. So you have T1, P1 and PI. You have PI, P1. So you can calculate T2. So T2 will be equal to T2 by T1 equal to the PI by P1 to the power gamma minus by gamma. So this will be the T2. T2 will be equal to the 300. 300 is the T1. 300 into 4 by 1 to the power gamma minus by gamma. So T2 will be equal to the 445.8 Kelvin. And you have T3. So you can calculate T4 because you know PI and you know this P2. So T4 by T3 will be equal to the P2. P2 means this one is the P1, this is the PI and this is the P2. There is 3 pressures: the initial pressure P1, intermediate pressure PI and final pressure, that is P2. So T4 by T3 means this process is from intermediate pressure to the final pressure. So T3 by T4 will be equal to the PI by P4 to the power gamma minus by gamma. So after putting the value, you will get T4 equal to T3 into 290 into this is the T4 8 by 4 to the power gamma minus by gamma equal to T4 equal to क्या हो जाएगा, sorry, T4 will be 353.5 Kelvin. So you have calculated T1, you know T1, T3 and you have calculated T2 and T4. Now you have T6 and T6 equal to T8. So you can calculate T7 and T9. Since you know the pressure, so you can calculate T7 and T9. So process 6 to 7 is isentropic expansion in turbine 1, that is from pressure P2 to PI. So T6 by Ti will be equal to the P2 by Pi to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma. So after putting the value, you will get T7 equal to T7 equal to T6 by P2 by Pi to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma will be T7 equal to 300 divided by 8 by 4 to the power 1.4 minus 1 by 1.4. So finally you will get T7 equal to 1066.4 Kelvin. So you have calculated T7, and now we will calculate T9. So T9 will be process 8 to 9. For process 8 to 9, the pressure is decreasing from Pi to P1. So for this process, T8 by T9 equal to Pi by P1 to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma. So T9 will be equal to the T8, that is 1300 divided by 4 by 1 to the power 1.4 minus 1 by 1.4. So T9 will be equal to the 874.8 Kelvin. So you have calculated T2, T4, T7, T9, and you have to now calculate this temperature T5 and T10. Only these two are unknown. So since effectiveness is the function of the actual temperature rise upon the maximum possible rise in the temperature. So actual temperature rise will be T5 minus T4, and maximum possible T9 minus T4. Maximum what you can increase temperature of the compressed air will be T4 to T9. So the maximum possible temperature change will be equal to T9 minus T4. So after putting the value, effectiveness is given, that is the 0.8 equal to the T5. You don't know, you have to calculate this. T4 you have calculated, that is 353.51, and T9 is also calculated, that is 874.8, and T4 is 353.51. After putting this value and calculating, we will find T5 equal to 770.54 Kelvin. So you have calculated T5. Now we can calculate the work output from the turbine. Work output from turbine will be equal to the Cp into will be equal to the Wt1 plus Wt2. So and Wt1 will be equal to the Cp into T6 minus T7, and Wt2 will be equal to the Cp into T8 minus T9. So the net work output from turbine will be equal to the Cp into T6 minus T7 plus T8 minus T9. So after putting this value, you will get the net work output from turbine, which will be equal to the 658.7 kilojoule per kg. And you can calculate the efficiency directly. This is your answer, first answer, net work output from turbine, and second one is the efficiency of the cycle. So you can calculate the efficiency of the cycle. Efficiency of the cycle will be equal to the net work output upon the net heat supply. Net work output will be the Wt minus Wc upon Qs, and Wt will be equal to this equation which we have calculated, and Wc will be equal to the Wc1 plus Wc2. Wc1 will be equal to the T2 minus Cp into T2 minus T1 plus Wc2 equal to Cp into T4 minus T3. So after putting this value, you will get, and Qs will be equal to the heat supply, that is heat supply before the stage 1 and before the stage 2nd. So the net heat supply will be equal to Cp into T6 minus T5 and Cp into T8 minus T7. So after putting this value, you will calculate the final efficiency of the cycle. We have calculated all the temperature. So after putting all the temperature, you will get this value, that is efficiency is equal to 58.9%. So the efficiency of the cycle will be equal to the 58.9%, and the net work output from turbine will be the 58.7 kilojoule per kg. Now we will see the next problem. Brayton cycle works between 1 bar 300 Kelvin and 5 bar 1250 Kelvin, there are two stages of the compression with perfect intercooling and two stages of expansion. The work output from the first expansion stage is being used to drive the two compressors. The air from the first stage turbine is again heated to 1250 Kelvin and expanded. Calculate the power output from power output of three power turbine and cycle efficiency without and with perfect heat exchanger and compare them. Also calculate the percentage improvement in the efficiency because of addition of heat exchanger. Here the meaning of heat exchanger is the regenerator. And in the question it is given that the compression is perfect intercooling. Compression is two stage with perfect intercooling, but the expansion is with two stage expansion, but there is no any thing mentioned that the expansion is also the with perfect reheating. So first of all we will draw the TS diagram for this process. So for the perfect reheating, the intermediate pressure, that is this for process 2 to 3 will be equal to the square root of the P1 to P2, that is the final pressure. Here the initial pressure is P1 and final pressure is the P2. So the intermediate pressure for the compression, because the compression is the two stage with perfect intercooling. So for the perfect intercooling, the intermediate pressure will be equal to the Pi equal to square root of the initial and final pressure. So you can calculate the intermediate pressure for the compression, but the expansion is not perfect, is not with perfect reheating. So you cannot calculate the pressure ratio with the previously derived equation, that is Pi equal to square root of P1 into P2. So first of all you have to note down all the given data, that is P1, T1 and P4 equal to P5 equal to P4, that is this one is the 5 bar pressure, and T5 and T7 is equal to the 1250 Kelvin. So for perfect intercooling, we have also derived the work done on the compressor 1 will be equal to the work done on the compressor 2. So you can calculate the work input for any one of the compressor. So if you will calculate the intermediate pressure for the compression, then P2 equal to P3 equal to square root of the P1 into P4, and which will be equal to the square root of the 5 bar. This intermediate pressure will be equal to the square root 5. So WC1 you can calculate. WC1 will be equal to the Cp into T2 minus T1, and after taking the common, because you don't know the T2, so you have to use this relation T2 by T1 equal to P2 by P1 to the power gamma by gamma, or you can calculate first T2 and you can also put in this equation, and you can calculate the work input to the compressor 1. But here we are calculating directly. So Cp into T1 into P2 by P1 to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma minus 1. So you know T1, you know P2, you know P1 and this constant. So after putting this value, you will get WC1 will equal to the 77.93 kilojoule per kg, and which will be also equal to the WC2 because of the perfect intercooling. So the net, since for perfect intercooling, WC1 will be equal to the WC2 is equal to 77.97. So the total work input to the compression will be equal to WC1 plus WC1 plus WC2. So this will be the 2 times of this one. Sorry. Okay. And in the question it is given that the work output of the first expansion stage is being used to drive the two compressor. So whatever you are getting from this stage 1 is utilized for the compressors. So you can calculate the work output from the turbine 1, because the turbine 1 is equal to the WC1 plus WT2. So you can calculate the WT1. So WT1 will be equal to the WC1 plus WC2, which will be equal to the 77.93 plus 77.93 plus is equal to WT1. So WT1 will be equal to the 155.86. Now you have calculated the WT1. You have calculated WT1 and you know the T5. So you can calculate the T6, or you can calculate the intermediate pressure for the expansion. Now you have to calculate the intermediate pressure for the expansion, because this expansion is not with perfect intercooling. So you have to calculate the intermediate pressure. Since WT1 equal to, you have calculated WT1 will equal to the Cp into T5 minus T6. You know T5, so you can calculate the T6 easily here, which will be equal to the 1094.91 Kelvin. So if you know the T5 and you know the T6, then you can calculate this pressure ratio. And after putting the value, P4 by P3. This is for the second stage compression. So T4 by T3 will be equal to the P4 by P3 equal to the P5 by square root of the 5. This is the intermediate pressure to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma. So T4, you have calculated T4. You have calculated T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, T6, T7. So T4 will be equal to the 377.5 Kelvin. Now you have to find out the pressure ratio for the turbine 1. You have to find the pressure ratio for the turbine 1. So you know the T5, you know the T6. So assuming this is the isentropic compression, this will be T5 by T6 is equal to Rp to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma. So after rearrangement, Rp T1 means pressure ratio for turbine 1 will be equal to the T5 by T6 to the power gamma upon gamma minus 1. You know T5, you know T6. After putting this value, you will get the pressure ratio for the turbine 1 or the first stage. So RPT1 will be equal to the 1.59. So this pressure ratio will be the 1.59. You know the overall pressure ratio, that is P5 by P8. You know the P5 by P8 is equal to the 5. That is the initial and final pressure ratio. So you can calculate this one. You know overall and you know this one. So you can for this one. So pressure ratio for the second stage turbine will be equal to the total pressure ratio upon the pressure ratio for the first stage turbine. So pressure ratio for the total pressure ratio is 5 and pressure ratio for the first stage turbine is 1.59. So you can get this pressure ratio, that is P7 by P8 or RPT2. RPT2 is pressure ratio for the second stage expansion turbine. So that is 3.144. So you can calculate the work developed by the second stage. We have calculated this one, and now you have to calculate this. So WT2 will be Cp into T7 minus T8. So you don't know the T8, so you have to calculate T8. So for this you have to take in 7 as a common, because you know the T7. So this will be 1 minus T8 by T7, which will be equal to Cp into T7 into 1 minus T8 by T7 will be equal to the 1 by RPT2, since T7 by T8 is equal to the RPT2 to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma. So T8 by T7 will be equal to the 1 by RPT2 to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma. So after putting this value, you will get WT2, which will be equal to the 350.6 kilojoule per kg. So we have calculated WT1 and WT2. Now we have to calculate the heat addition without regeneration. If you are not using the regenerator, then what will be the heat supply? So you are supplying the heat from 4 to 5 and 6 to 7. So the net heat addition will be equal to the Cp into T5 minus T4 plus Cp into T7 minus T6, and you have calculated all the temperature point. So after putting these temperatures, you will calculate the heat addition without regeneration. So after putting the value, Qs will be equal to 1.005 into T5 equal to 1250 and T4 is equal to 377.5 plus T7 equal to 1250 minus T6 equal to 1094.91, and which will be equal to the 1027.59. So this is the heat addition without regeneration. Now if you are using the perfect regenerator, then what will be the heat addition? If you will use the perfect reheater, then the heat supply from the point 4 to point 1 will be the from regenerator, and T4 to TA, that is T8. For the perfect reheater, the TA will be equal to the T8. So you have to supply the heat from TA to T5 and T6 to T7. So for the regeneration, with perfect regeneration, the heat addition will be equal to the Cp into T5 minus T8 or T5 minus TA plus Cp into T7 minus T6. Since for perfect rating, Ta is equal to the T8. So putting Ta is equal to T8, you will get Q supply with regeneration. Q supply with regeneration is equal to Cp into T5 is equal to 1250 minus Ta is equal to T8 is equal to 901.1 plus T7 is equal to 1250 minus T6 is equal to T6 minus T7 minus T6. Okay, so T6 is equal to 1094.9. So this will be equal to the 506.5 kilojoule per kg. So you can conclude here, or you can compare here, the heat supply with regeneration is decreasing. So you are getting the heat supply with regeneration is 506 and without regeneration is 1027. That is more than the 2 times. So the heat addition is decreases with the use of the regenerator. Now we have to calculate the efficiency of the cycle without regeneration or without regenerator. So if you will not use the regenerator, then what will be the efficiency of the cycle? So efficiency of the cycle will be equal to the net work output upon the heat supply, and net work output will be equal to the turbine work minus compressor work, and turbine work will be equal to the WT1 plus WT2, and compressor work will be the WC1 and WC2, and this is the QS. Since the WT1 is equal to the WC1 plus WT2, which is given in the question, means whatever you are getting from turbine 1 is going for the compression in stage 1 and stage 2. So WT1 will be cancelled out with WC1 plus WC2. So you don't have to calculate these 3 terms. So this will be cancelled out. So this term will be equal to WT2 only, because WT1 is cancelled with WC2 plus, this is the WC1. this is the WC1. So the WT1 will be cancelled out with WC1 and WC2. So only WT2 will be left. So the efficiency without regenerator will be equal to the WT2 by QS. So you know the WT2 and you know the QS. QS without regeneration, that is 1027.59, which will be equal to the 0.3411. So the efficiency of the cycle without regeneration will be equal to the 34.11%. Now you have to calculate the efficiency with the regenerator. So with the regenerator, so we have seen that with the use of the regenerator there is no any change in the net work output. So the net work output will be remain unchanged. That is the net work output will be then WT1 plus WT2 minus WC1 minus WT2, and WT1 is equal to the WC1 plus WT2. So the WT1 will be cancelled out with WC1 and WC2. So the only WT2 will be the left, and here what we are supplying, here the heat supply will be with the regeneration. So we will put this value with the regeneration, which will be equal to 506. So the efficiency with the regeneration will be equal to the 350.6 divided by 506.5. You can compare here the efficiency of the cycle with regeneration and without regeneration. So in the with regeneration, the net work output is 350.6, and without regeneration is also 350.6. So there is no any change in the work output, net work output. And but you will see there is a change in the heat supply. So heat supply will be more without regeneration, and heat supply will be lesser than this one if you will use the regenerator. So the efficiency will be 0.6922, or the efficiency of the cycle with regeneration is 69.22%. So you can compare here the efficiency of the cycle is increasing with the use of the regenerator, but there is no any change in the net work output. So now we will conclude here. Today we have discussed the intercooling, reheating, and regeneration. So with the use of the intercooler, there is a decrease in the compressor work, and with the use of the reheating, there is the increase in the turbine work, and with the use of the regeneration, there is the decrease in the heat supply. And this is the references, and then thank you.